Welcome to Often Pacing on Tab Radio Racing and Sport. Tim Walker will be joined by Matt Young and Oli Cownie as they delve into the form for today's Pinjarra harness meeting, as well as an early look at tomorrow's meeting at Gloucester Park. We are Often Pacing.
Great to have your company on this Monday morning ahead of another very big week of harness racing here in the West. A terrific weekend as well on the harness racing front with a big night here Friday night and also a big Saturday night, which we might touch on as well with Ollie and Matt in just a moment. Tim Walker with you. Great to have your company as we build up to, as I said, another big Friday night and a big couple of days here in the West as well. And that's where we'll put our experts to the test, their form to the test and see if they can find a few winners for us. Emily Suvaljko will also join us later on this hour off the back of a good win on Saturday night down there with Cabernet, and also a look ahead to the next couple of days and her drive. So looking forward to that. But let's welcome in our experts, Oli Cownie and Matt Young. Ollie, to you first and foremost, a very good morning.
Good morning, Tim. Good morning, Matt.
Matt Young, good morning to you once more.
Good morning again, Tim, and good morning to Ollie.
Well, we just spoke to Cam Hart on the Sports Daily about an hour ago, gents. We might start here just before we look local and what we saw on Friday night here at Gloucester Park and looking ahead to Pinjarra and Narrage in the next 48 hours or so. The Victoria Cup, Ollie, to you first and foremost, Swayze. So, yes, there was no leap to fame, and that took a fair bit out of the race, obviously, and his chance, it very much looked his race to lose on paper. But off what we saw on Saturday night from Swayze, was it a performance that suggested he would have given Leap to Fame a little bit to think about?
I think it really did detract a lot from the race, Leap to Fame coming out. But at the same time, I don't think Swayze had been spoken about during the week anywhere near enough. He's an exceptional horse, Swayze, and really the only horse that he hasn't been able to beat in the last year or so is Leap to Fame. So he's an exceptional horse in his own right. After Leap to Fame came out, I think he was into about $2.30, and by the time they jumped, he went around $5, which was a bit crazy, but he did a lot of work to get to the lead there. He ran a 27.9 first quarter and then just kept running the whole way, and he was just too good for them in the end. Macdown put up a little bit of a fight for the lead, but he was just no match for Swayze in the end. And I think going forward, if Swayze is able to get that barrier draw advantage on Leap to Fame, I think there's every chance that he could give him something to catch there and something to think about. He obviously has beaten him in the past, but yeah, I think despite, the horse Leap to Fame is, I think Swayze could very well challenge him going forward.
Matt, you were calling Bunbury on Saturday night, and no doubt you would have been keeping an eye on what was happening over east. Could you believe the drift with Swayze on Saturday night?
Well, I've seen it happen before with a couple of Grimmo's horses in the past that have drifted and then performed so well. And as Ollie mentioned, just how well the horse went after working so hard to get to around from the outside of the back row, basically, was just absolutely outstanding. So,
have we got you there, Matt?
Yeah, it's still there. So I just thought I was getting a call from the same number, so it was just a little bit strange there, Tim. So Swayze's performance was absolutely outstanding. I thought to be able to run 3 quarters in 27 and change and do that work, he just keeps on going. So he's very similar in the aspect to Leap to Fame in that they've just got so much depth and ability to really dig deep when they really need to. So I can see them having some great battles going forward. And yeah, I mean, as Ollie mentioned, the shine was taken off of the race after Leap to Fame got taken out of it, but yeah, I can't wait to see these two clash again very soon. Yeah,
so we know that there won't be New Zealand this year for Swayze, and a decision in the coming days regarding Leap to Fame and what his next moves are. But Swayze will go on and look to chase that $1 million bonus through the New South Wales Country Cups, and it's certainly a lucrative bonus. And you would think that he is going to be classes above whatever he does encounter in those upcoming 4 races. But let's look locally. So Friday night we had the running of the James Brennan Memorial. It was the first of our key free-for-alls in the lead up to the WA Pacing Cup, of which we'll have rankings a little later on this morning, hopefully, regarding the WA Pacing Cup, our first set. And then we know we've got a $100,000 race in the Stratton Cup in a fortnight, or just under a fortnight now, in the Navy Cup en route to the feature on November 8. So just on this race, first and foremost, Mr. Smarty, he was a short price favourite here. Matt, what was your takeaway with the way that he did it?
Yeah, look, here we had the race fitness on his side, the barrier draw, able to get the top. He just controlled it. It just looked his race and looked to be at his mercy, and he won accordingly. So it's going to be really good to see how he battles against some of these really good horses once they get a couple of runs under their belt and they have the month lead into the WA Pacing Cup. So, but for a lightly raced horse, he just continues to improve, and he's going to be a genuine threat towards anyone in the Pacing Cup, that's for sure. Yeah,
he will be. Matt asked the question, Ollie, on Friday night in the post-race interview that you would have heard here on Tab Radio, what he would do, Gary Hall Jr., in regards to the 4-year-old races. Do you go with Never Ending or do you go with Mr. Smarty? It's a good dilemma that he's potentially got in front of him. Obviously, that's pending Never Ending getting back to Perth. That's a key part in the Golden Nugget picture and the 4-year-old series as a whole. But let's just fast forward to December's Golden Nugget, and we know that the 4-year-old Classic is as well is in that time frame between now and the Golden Nugget. What way would you go, Ollie? Would you be a Never Ending or Mr. Smarty man if they did clash?
Gee, what a tough decision he's got there, but he's lucky to have that decision. They're two outstanding horses, Mr. Smarty and Never Ending. I think at this stage, Never Ending's probably started to put things together a little bit more than Never Ending has. Mr. Smarty shown that on Friday there he could be used off the gate, and he settled beautifully in the end and did everything right, and he's it for home as soon as Gary asked him to. I think at this stage, Never Ending, they haven't been able to use him off the gate and have him settle nicely, so that's probably a bit of a query, but I do think in time both horses will have that versatility, but at this stage I just think Mr. Smarty's probably a better racehorse, so I'd be going his way if he drew inside Never Ending.
All right. It's a very interesting one to monitor. Let's hope Never Ending does get back in time for our 4-year-old races. Now, Matt, we might let you start just while we're on the free-for-all. I'll tell you what, it's a good second seed to have if Jumping Jack Mac is your second seed, and that's what the Hall Senior Camp have got, because it would appear as if Mr. Smarty is going to be their number one seed for these upcoming free-for-all races. But I thought his run was full of merit, and that can be where you start with your horses to follow.
Yeah, Jumping Jack Mac, I thought he was brilliant with his performance. He was caught wide early when making a move into the race and had to go back to the tail of the field and sort of held up-ish a little bit before getting to the outside. And I just love the way that he ran through the line. Stuart McDonald outlined in the interviews on X in the parade ring that this horse felt like he'd come back even better with his work. So I thought that the performance sort of outlined that he's coming back to his absolute best probably pretty quickly, and he's just a horse that sneaks around at the bigger odds because of his racing style. And I think I was really excited by his performance on Friday. I think he's one to follow going forward. And from the same stable, I really like the performance of Master Publisher. He had a wide draw to overcome, and I thought he hit the line really strongly just in behind them. So look, I can see him being well and truly one to follow going forward. And I was actually really enamoured with the performance of Skylord, who he had a little bit of a gap between runs, and we know Skylord has his fair share of issues behind the scenes. Sometimes he can take a little bit of patching up, but I thought for his first run in open company, he really hit the line quite strongly. Got to the outside, took a little bit to wind up, but he was doing his best work late. And I just think going forward, he's going to really acquit himself well in those sort of races. So those are the three to follow from Friday night: Master Publisher, Skylord, and Jumping Jack Back.
All right, Ollie, over to you. And I think you're going to be following another Jocelyn Young trained pacer to start things off.
I certainly am, and her stable's just going awesome at the moment. All her horses are running extremely well. Out of race 5 there in that mares race, I thought Peaceful was a fantastic effort, did a lot of work there to get around to the breeze, and they weren't going slowly. They were running throughout there in that race, and they went quick overall time, 155 mile rate, pretty sharp there. Starlight Dream, I think, is a horse that's on the up and is pretty smart, and Peaceful sitting outside there was only beaten 2.5 metres there, and Little Darling was just able to get over the top late, but had a soft run throughout. So I think Peaceful's just getting better and better as she's been in WA longer, and she's one that I can really see featuring in some of the upcoming mares races. The next horse I had to follow was out of race 7. This is a horse that I've come up with a few times to follow, and I think he's still racing really well. Pete's Honour. I think this is a race where it did set up for those to run on a little bit. They had run throughout, and a few of those were going to get tied in this race, but Pete's Honour, he had to peel really wide in the race, and he was only just getting into it late, and he finished off really strongly. And in some of those genuinely run feature races, I can see him being a horse that if he got a really nice pegs run, I can see him popping up at odds in one of those. So I'm really keen to follow Pete's Honour out of that 3-year-old race. And then my third horse to follow was race 8. I thought Benji was a super run. He worked in the early stages there. He was looking for nearly got there, and then he couldn't quite get across Black Rock and had to be restrained. But when eventually he got clear in the later stage of the race, he really flashed home, and he was a real eye-catcher in that race. So really keen to follow Benji, and he's got some versatility with his gate speed. So I think there'll be a race for him soon. And there was another horse, actually, I didn't have as one of my horses to follow, but I'm keen to throw him in out of race 5. I thought out of the James Brennan Memorial, I thought Minstrel was a super run there. Absolutely no luck when trying to go around to get the breeze. Couldn't get the breeze and was forced to the rear of the field and made another run and was only beaten 14 metres. So I think he's another horse that's going well enough to feature in some of the upcoming big races.
Yeah, two of the mainstays of the free-for-all ranks here in the West in recent times, Jumping Jack Mack and Minstrel. There's nothing wrong with what they did on Friday night. Just before we get best bets, I put the task towards you two gentlemen. We're coming up to the Derby. Ollie, you referenced the 3-year-old race there on Friday night, and we obviously had a race on Saturday night as well, which had some talented 3-year-olds going around down there at Bunbury, which you called, Matt. And I put it to you two to come up with a top 3 as things stand for the Derby, your own set of rankings, and also the Pacing Cup. So let's rip into them before we get some tips for the next 48 hours. Matt, we'll start with you. We'll go the Derby first, followed by your Pacing Cup rankings.
Okay, well, the Derby, I'm going top 3. So 3, Vegas Strip. I've loved what he's done in his last few starts, and he's the winner of the Golden Slipper. I'm expecting him to improve even more going forward towards this race, and I think he's one, as I've mentioned before, that I have been critical of this preparation, but I think he's going really well. So Christopher Dance from the same stable, I was really taken by his win the other day. He's got a lot of speed to burn. He's a high-priced import, but at the same time, he looks to be really talented. And my number 1 seed for the Derby is Bet the House from the stables of Ron Houston. I think he's been brilliant in his performances, and he's just coming on really nicely. And if you really look through the form lines with a fine-tooth comb with some of the others, I thought he's been really, really impressive, and he's the one that seems to be making his run at the right time. For the Pacing Cup, top 3 for now. Top 3 with Lavra Joe. Like the way Lavra Joe hit the line on Friday night. He was being considered as the favourite for the Fremantle Cup before he had the sickness and was scratched. So I'm expecting him to really bounce back well, and I loved what I saw Friday. 2, Mr. Smarty, for obvious reasons. He's the up-and-coming new kid on the block, but he's got speed to burn and talent to burn. And number 1 seed, I'm sticking with Jumping Jack Mac. Love what I saw on Friday night, and he's richly talented. So those are my top 3 for the Pacing Cup and Derby.
Ollie, over to you. What have you got?
For the Derby, I've got one on top here. Christopher Dance, as Matt mentioned, high price horse that's come over from New Zealand. Think he just goes on top there, and his first start win was good enough, and the Bond stable have come out and said they've ironed out a few problems with him, so he should be even better going forward. Number 2 for me, I've got Bet the House. I think he's been fantastic, really. He hasn't put a foot wrong, and he showed last start when beating Wave Rider that he's got versatility as well, and he's able to do work in his races, so he goes in second. And number 3 is one that was really eye-catching on Friday, Golden Load. Russell Betts clocked him on Friday going 154 his last mile, home 26.28. So he was an outstanding run there, and he beat Ultra Tribute, who would have been my next in and hasn't done really anything wrong there. So I think it's a fairly even bunch outside of the top few, so it should be a really good race there. And then for the Pacing Cup, similar numbers. I've got Mr. Smarty in on top there. He's just a really smart horse, and if he draws a gate and finds the lead, it will take a smart horse to beat him. I think in the big race, Lavra Joe, I've got him in there as well. He is a horse with really good gate speed. Obviously, it was really unfortunate for the camp that things didn't go right for him in the Fremantle Cup, and he was scratched. I think he can bounce back in the next few starts. And then number 3, I've got Penny Tiger. You'd just be a brave man to suggest he couldn't find the front if he draws the front row. And if he does find the front, he can either hold or he can hand over to the right horse. And with his speed late, I think he's no doubt to be in the finish there.
All right, so that is our Derby and Pacing Cup look ahead. Now, let's turn our attention to Pinjarra today, gents, and also Narrogin tomorrow. So, Matt, your first best is right at the start of the day. Lead us off.
Yeah, I'm with He's a Wizard in race number 1. I just like how this horse is performing. I thought it was a really good chance of being able to get the job done here, so I was happy to be with He's a Wizard in the first race. I've even to the point where I think he could probably lose a little bit of ground and still be able to win the race. So keen on him in the first. Then we move on to races 6 and 8. Race 6, I like this race. I thought Irresistible would be really hard to beat from gate number 2, but I was really keen on Our Lily Lou for a place. I thought 3 back the pegs was going to be ideal for Our Lily Lou and becomes a really good place chance from there. And in race number 8 on the program, I was happy to be with Franklin Delano. I thought Franklin Delano would run a really good race in this event, and so you're getting black odds at this stage. Third up into the preparation, I think he ticks a lot of boxes, and I think he'll go really well. So race 8, number 3, race 6, number 8, a place, and race 1, number 6 to win.
All right, so that is for Matt. What about you, Ollie? You're going to race 2 for your first there today at Pinjarra.
Going with a very consistent trotter in this race, Nicky's Son. It's probably an even bunch here. These top few trotters hold that gold. Just been outstanding so far in WA, and obviously Patch is one of the better performed trotters in the last 5 years. So should be a really good race there. But Nicky's Son was a real eye catcher for me last start. Hit the line super behind Elegant Peak. They ran really good time there, and he came off the 30-metre handicap. Meets them on equal terms this time from the mobile. So I think he's very well suited, and he could be decent each way value in that race. I think in race 5, there's a horse here that I think is just bursting to win. Sounds Treacherous, finally gets a barrier draw and has pretty good gate speed. So I think she should be able to find the front, and previously has done her best work from in front, and seems to be the case with some of the Captain Treacherous horses. So I think she will be a likely improver in this race. And the one danger I thought in that one was Just All Star. So it might be worth a little bit of a saver. Last time Hayden Charles drove that horse, it went really well and nearly won. So happy to back Sounds Treacherous and save on Just All Style. And then in race 8, I was keen to be with Good Time Lewis. I thought he was fantastic in his last few starts in Victoria. He led them up, and he began extremely fast for an outside gate. Has outstanding gate speed, so that's exciting. And then he was able to run a 26 third quarter, so he was just beaten by the better horse there in the end. But I don't think there's anything in this field that's quite as good as that. So happy to be with Good Time Lewis, but respect that fitness could be a slight query first up. All
right, so that is Nicky's Son in race 2 for Ollie. Sounds Treacherous with the save on Just All Style in race 5, and Good Time Lewis in race number 8. Matt with race 1, He's a Wizard. Our Lily Lou, the place in race 6, and Franklin Delano in race number 8 today. All right, now let's have a look towards Narrogin tomorrow, and we'll go with you first and foremost here, Ollie, for your first one. You're going to race 3.
Race 3, there's a horse here which I just thought was really fantastic last start. Ultra Freeway was in a race behind Chihuahua and I'm Lightning Banner, who are 2 really smart horses. They're 2 of the likely horses that are going to win decent 3-year-old races and races going forward. And I thought Ultra Freeway was super there to battle away for 3rd, and this race looks a lot easier. So I think he can work to the top there and can likely just hold up the only danger in Major J, who will likely be 3 back to pegs. So I think Ultra Freeway can get away with that one. And then in race 4, the race after that, I thought this one could be decent odds. I thought Class and Smart could work outside the leader and generally runs his best races for Shannon Suvaljko. Has had a couple of trials, went well in those trials. So sitting outside Zara Tyndall, who's probably more of a sit sprinter, so might not run along in that race. And I think Class and Smart can get an easy enough run outside her and potentially hang on for a place at odds for us.
All right, so race 3, Ultra Freeway, and race 4, Class and Smart there, hopefully to run into the money. Matt, you're going to the top of the card.
Yeah, race 1, I like the run of Lady Camel first up. Got home really strongly from the back of the field. The race was sort of run to suit a horse coming from back in the field, but I've had a bit of time for this horse last preparation, and I thought the run was full of merits. This looks a suitable enough assignment. I thought Lady Camel could be hard to beat in the first. So race 1, number 6, Lady Camel, and race 2, number 8, Follow My Stride Each Way. Was unlucky last start. We'll double down again. Thought it could run into the money last start, but I can see a nice long straight at Narrogin, the horse getting wider, and I thought this was a really strong winnable race. So race 2, number 8, Each Way, Follow My Stride, and race 1, number 6, Lady Camel, and I do agree with Ollie. Race 3, number 4, Ultra Freeway, I think will be winning. So, it's probably a good start to the program, hopefully.
All right, let's hope that we've got our pockets full by then. Thank you for your time this morning, Ollie. We do appreciate it. We look forward to catching up with you again next week.
Look forward to it. Thanks, Tim.
And Matt, we will catch up with you on the Sports Daily tomorrow morning from 8:45, and also the Racing WA Harness X-Page interviews. They'll be up and firing down there at Pinjarra today.
Absolutely right. Cheers, guys. There
is Matt Young with his look at Pinjarra, as well as Oli Cownie. Short break, we'll come back and have a quick chat to Emily Suvaljko.
Get up to $350 cash back on selected large capacity fridges right now at Retrovision. Choose from all your favourite brands: Electrolux, Samsung, Haier, Westinghouse, Mitsubishi and LG. Get yours in-store or online at retrovision.com.au.
Create your Trek masterpiece with Leonardo da Vinci. Son of Hinchinbrook, a Group 2 winner, now siring stars like Golden Kathleen. For just $4,400, let Leonardo da Vinci craft your winning legacy. Book at goldfrontbreeding.com.au.
You are listening to Off and Pacing on Tab Radio, Racing and Sport.
It's great to have your company on this Monday morning as we work our way towards Pinjarra today, and also a look back, as you just heard from Ollie and Matt, at Friday night. And on Saturday night, we had the Southwestern Derby down at Bunbury, and it was taken out by a consistent performer in Cabernet. And it's great to have Emily Suvaljko, the winning driver, with us on the program. Emily, good morning to you, and congratulations on Saturday.
Thank you. Good morning, guys.
He did deserve that one, Cabernet. He'd been knocking on the door and got the win there on Saturday night. Were you impressed with the way that he did it?
Yeah, definitely. He's been very unlucky of late, and the draw looked okay from the draw, but he's never really been one that's come from behind. But I think just with the experience in racing, he's just got better and better. And, yeah, he's added a few more strings to his bow.
He certainly has, and he's done a good job, as you touched on, without getting the best of luck. Just going forward, obviously some good races coming up over the next few weeks for the 3-year-olds. Do you think he would be one that, with a soft run like that, he could figure somewhere in the top 4 or 5 in a derby if he, as I said, got that sort of run?
Yeah, definitely. I was quite impressed with how he got to the line. I thought I was going to run like an okay third on the corner, and then, yeah, at the top of the straight, when I dived back to the inside, he really got up there really nicely. So, yeah, I think in the better company, when they're running a bit more solid, he'll be better set up. But he does have really good gate speed to get himself into a good spot as well.
All right, so that is Cabernet, who caused the minor boil over, beating Sugar Delight and Menemshire on Saturday night in the feature. We might turn our attention to Pinjarra today if we can. You've got a couple of important drives to work through. Firstly, with Rock and Roll Sluice, so got the well-deserved win on the board last week here at Gloucester Park. Drawn barrier number 1, got clearly a very, very talented animal right next door to you, drawn barrier number 2. Did you envisage that you'd be able to get a pretty nice run here in behind the 2? Is that the intention?
Yeah, I think so. Without speaking to Nathan, it's probably a bit of a step up in class. She felt like she was going to do it really easy down the back last start, but I think 2 starts ago when she sat in the breeze, she actually went better time and seemed to do it a bit better, seemed to grab the bit a little bit more. So I think in front she might have just got a little bit lost, but I think following a horse like Irresistible run a really good mile rate on Saturday night. So I think that's the kind of run that Rock and Roll Slow will enjoy.
All right, so that is in race number 6. Your other drive is Star of the Galaxy in race number 4. Drawn the back row. Will it just be about trying to run into the top 4 or 5 here?
Yeah, he was going really good and his form went a little bit off, but I think he's back almost at his best. I think this sort of draw won't hurt him too much because we just won't have to use him off the arm, and he does go really well off a sit as well. So it's an even sort of field, so if he gets a bit of luck in running, he can be thereabouts. All
right, so that is today at Pinjarra. To Narrogin tomorrow, so you start the evening off with a lovely draw here for Elton Maguire, drawn barrier number 1. How did you assess Elton Maguire's prospects tomorrow night from this good draw? His last run was okay. He got held up for a bit and then just got up the straight okay. So barrier 1, he's got pretty good gate speed. He usually does his best racing in front. So if we could hold the front, it's only the mile. So I think that would be our best prospect to win. All right. And in race number 2, again, a horse that there's some sort of an each-way chance in a pretty even field is Ghost Rider, drawn barrier number 2. How did you assess things early here? Yeah, it is a very even field. He's a very big horse. I think he would be suited to rolling out in front. The 1 can do things wrong out the gate if it's used too hard. So I think we'll come out and try and give him his chance out in front. His 5ths have been okay, but he's been having to come off the track. So I think if he hits the rail, we'll see a different horse. Okay. Major J, just speaking to Ollie and Matt earlier on, it's just going to be a case of if you do see daylight and you can get out at the right time, can you give Alta Freeway, who looks the one to beat here, can you give him some headaches? Yeah, I think so. Nathan has a really high opinion of this horse. He really quite likes him. He just wasn't suited at Bunbury, drawn wide and had to go wide. He still finished okay running 4th, so this is the right sort of draw for him. He shouldn't be too far from him, and if he can get a little bit of luck down the back straight, he's run home in really good sectionals before against better horses, so hopefully he gets a little bit of luck in this race. Is Tucks and Tails an each-way chance in race number 4? Yeah, the tougher you drive him, he usually likes it. He went good at Calabaran yesterday in the breeze, just got nabbed by the stablemate, so yeah, if they back off, I'd be happy to put him into it, and he's a nice sort of horse that will just keep running even sectionals. All right, and then we get to the Bodester in race number 5, drawn barrier number 4. Clearly the 1 does look hard to beat. How did you play this here? Yeah, it's a tricky sort of draw. It's one we'll just have to assess early. I think there'll be a bit of speed between the 1 and the 3. The 1 was only fair out
last start, I drew 2 with Major J and almost crossing. He just went a little bit rough early and then kind of mustered. So if running in empty could almost get him out the gate, probably makes our job a little bit trickier. Bodester's one I'd like to sit him up and see how he goes, but he might be doing it tough again tomorrow.
All right, and the last drive there tomorrow night is Satan Princess, the lone runner off the back line in race number 6. So is it, again, just hoping that you can run into the money there?
Yeah, it's a good sort of draw for her. If she only ended up 3 back the fence, it's the mile. So, if she gets a little bit of luck, she could run a top 5 position.
All right, terrific. Emily, thanks for your time this morning. We do appreciate it, and good luck over the next 48 hours or so, and well done, obviously, Saturday night there at Bunbury, and also yesterday a winner there as well at Kellerberrin. Appreciate your time this morning.
Thanks, Tim.
There is Emily Suvaljko with us on the program this morning. All right, that's off and pacing for another week. Appreciate your time this morning, and good luck if you are going to have an investment today and tomorrow on the harness meetings. Pinjarra today. Don't forget the Racing WA Harness X page for full coverage of that, and then Narrogin tomorrow night, and looking forward to the Western Gateway right here at Gloucester Park this Friday night. We'll be back again next week for Off and Pacing. I'm going to leave you in the capable hands of Leah Ernest for race day, and on our way to getting to Leah, we'll have the preview for the Tamworth meeting. The first is just 6 minutes away here. Good luck if you're having a bet today, and stay tuned for all of the action on Tab Radio Racing and Sport.
What are you really gambling with? For free and confidential support, visit gamblinghelpline.org.au.